Morning. This is the Oldham County Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting for Thursday, February 15th, 2024. I'm calling the meeting to order.
Swear in staff.
First thing to do is to swear in the staff.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll go over the procedure for all the applications today. The chair and secretary are both absent today, and we do have a quorum. The way each case works is that the staff will come up and give a staff report. That staff report will include a lot of information, but after that, the applicant has an opportunity for 20 minutes to stand up and give their reason for presenting the application and their justification. After that, anybody that's here speaking in favor of the application has an opportunity to speak. Next is those opposing the application, if there are any. Then there are questions from the board and final statements by the applicant and opposition. Again, each case functions the same way. I want to remind everybody, if you got a cell phone, turn it on vibrate or off. And if you have to take a call, step out of the room because our cameras do pick up noises from the audience. So with that, I'll read the first application. It's OC 24-005. An application has been filed requesting a variance from the minimum setback distance requirements, section 290-100, for a monument sign at the entrance of Royal Oak Subdivision, section 2 in Crestwood.
All right. Good morning. Brian
Morning.
Fogel, Assistant Director, Oldham County Planning and Development. This is a variance request in the setback for a monument subdivision entrance sign at Royal Oak Subdivision. Notification of today's hearing was provided on our website. Adjoining property owners were mailed notices, and a legal advertisement appeared in the Oldham Mirror newspaper. The location of Royal Oak Subdivision is in the southwestern portion of the county, kind of where Shelby and Jefferson counties come together. So in this area, you see the Gene Snyder Freeway, the Old Henry Road extension right here, and Royal Oak Subdivision is right here off Holly Gibson Road. And then just as a point of reference, Crestwood is here and Pee Wee Valley is right here. Highlighted in red is the future section of Royal Oak Subdivision. The zoning in the area is either R2 residential or conservation and agricultural residential. And a more contemporary photo, just to give you a sense of the subdivision that's developing there. This is the initial section of Royal Oak Subdivision right here. The future section is here. There's a new section that will also be back here. But the request that you guys are hearing with this particular application is right here where Holly Gibson will intersect with a new road that'll be constructed. A little bit of history on this, and I pretty much just left it to anything that was directly applicable to this particular section. There was a change in zoning to allow the development of a single-family residential subdivision in September 2018. Heard by the Planning Commission and then approved by the Oldham County Fiscal Court. And then in February 2021, there was a preliminary plan approved for future sections of Royal Oak Subdivision. So the zoning ordinance addresses the placement of subdivision entry signs, and it's highlighted here in yellow from the portion of the zoning ordinance that says that, and it has basically just a few standards. One is that you're allowed up to 2 signs at each entrance, which is what the applicant is proposing. That the sign cannot be larger than 48 square feet in advertising area, which the applicant complies with, and then also the maximum height cannot be higher than 12 feet. The applicant's complying with that. But they have some particular circumstances that they can talk about where it's a challenge for them to meet their 15-foot setback from the public right-of-way line. So that's the variance request, is they want to put the subdivision entrance sign closer to the front property line than the required 15 feet. So they're proposing entry signs on either side of the road that would be built here The first sign would be as close as 0.64 feet from the public right-of-way line, requiring a variance of 14.36 feet. And then the second sign, which would be on the other side of the entry road, is proposed to be 1.42 feet from the public right-of-way line, requiring a variance of 13.58 feet. And I'm going to zoom in on this, but highlighted in yellow are the two signs. In the future entrance to Royal Oak subdivision, this is Holly Gibson right here. Future road, Holly Gibson Road. This is the sign that would be as close as 0.64 feet to the public right-of-way line. This is the sign that would be 1.65 feet from the property line. And they're proposing a sign that would look like this, which is very similar to the sign that's at their initial entrance to the subdivision that's already been developed. And then just a few photographs of the area. So the future entrance would be right here. This road and portion of the subdivision is currently being developed. The roads are not in yet. This is looking up towards the Floydsburg community with the entrance proposed to be right here. So the signs would be on either side of this future road. And then just looking at the entrance itself. So in their justification, they're explaining that they're asking for the variance due to the presence of a easement for the Texas gas transmission line that parallels Holly Gibson Road. And then the summary would just be that the variance requests are 14.36 feet for one sign, and the other one would be 13.58 feet for the second sign. And that concludes the staff presentation. We have not received any correspondence or phone calls from the public in regards to this application.
Brian, can you talk a little bit more about the gas transmission line? And I'm trying to get a feel for the logistics between the road and where exactly the sign would be.
Yes. So this aerial photograph to me just kind of really tells the story of the gas transmission line. It's a gas transmission line that runs from Texas, hence the name Texas Gas Transmission Line, up to northeastern Ohio. And if you see in this photo here, this green strip that goes through the developing portion of Royal Oak subdivision, and then you also see it in undeveloped portions of Oldham County. It runs the length of Oldham County. It's approximately 130 feet wide. And in this particular case, where it applies to them is that the gas transmission line runs here and then comes up along here, paralleling Holly Gibson Road.
So nobody can build anything on top of that transmission line?
I think you can cross it, and occasionally, and there are subdivisions where the property lines go onto it, you can put gardens and things, but nothing permanent.
And what they've done with the prior section of Royal Oaks, and I believe they're also proposing with this future section of Royal Oaks, is it's a common open space lot. That it's not someone's backyard where they might drive a fence post or something into that easement. And to Jim's point, you can see this road right here in the existing section of Royal Oak subdivision does cross that gas transmission line.
Right. So I'm trying to get a feel for then where the sign will be relative to where traffic will be on the road.
What's the setback from the center line?
Yes, so we do have a standard in our zoning ordinance that says you can't put things so close to the edge of the road that you encroach on what's called the site triangle. Their proposal here satisfies that requirement. So you'll see on their drawing, they've got a dashed line right here that says site triangle, and the sign sits outside of that site triangle, and then a line here where the proposed sign here sits outside of the site triangle.
So, right, so that area between, it looks like the edge of the road and kind of right where the sign is. Is that like a shoulder, or what is that area right there? What is
Yeah,
that?
it would be a grassy area and a shoulder with perhaps a drainage ditch. So this particular sign here is showing that it would be approximately 20 feet
Okay,
from the edge of the sign to the edge of Holly Gibson Road. And then this one over here would be approximately 15 feet from the edge of the sign to the edge of Holly Gibson Road, thereby complying with our zoning ordinance standards of making sure that you've got a clear sight triangle for street intersections.
And this might be a question for the applicant, but in relation to the four-board fence that was in one of the pictures, it's behind the fence, correct?
I would ask the applicant to answer that.
so again, I'm more concerned about safety. Someone driving down the road, that would be running into the sign, but it looks like you're telling me there's 15 to 20 feet from the edge of the road to where the sign would be.
There is, and the signs are parallel, not perpendicular to the road. And I'm going to show you this real quick because I thought, well, maybe this question will come up. So this is the existing entrance to Royal Oak subdivision, showing how they have two signs on either side of the road, and you can see how they set back from the edge of Holly Gibson Road here. Again, complying with our site triangle requirement, and they're proposing something similar here.
Got it.
Just that due to the easement with the gas transmission line, they're having to come to you all and get your approval for the setback
All right,
variances.
that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
If there are no other questions, I will yield the podium to the applicant here.
Right. So next on the agenda is for the applicant. They have 20 minutes to present their project. Applicant or their representative. Okay, I need to swear you in.
And anybody else that's going to present, if there are any.
Ann?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, they need your name and address.
Good morning. John Talbot, Barton Warper Talbot and Roberts. My address is 1000 North Hurstbourne Parkway, Louisville, Kentucky, 40223.
Okay.
Thank you very much for y'all's time today. We will not be taking our 20 minutes. Hopefully, we'll do this much more succinctly than that. Brian did a really good job laying out pretty much what the issue is, so I'm going to go over some of those things. But the bottom line is the request for this variance, and so we've got two variances today for elite homes. Both are created by trying to comply with your regulations and some unique circumstances we have with some easements and so forth that are pinching us on of complying with those regulations. This shows you the entire neighborhood. You've got section phase 2, phase 1, and then section 2. Just kind of give you an overview. This is the variance we're here that Brian just spoke about on the monument sign. That is a picture of the sign. And here we get into where the sign is. And this has lots of lines, and frankly, it's a little bit hard to read. So hopefully some of the next slides will explain that. But both monument signs on both sides of the road going into the subdivision are circled in red. And that shows the Texas gas transmission line. Now, the Texas transmission line extends to the top of that page 130 feet. So if we tried to move our monument sign to not be in that transmission sign easement because we cannot put it on top of it, we would be well off the road and very, very hard to see. When you look at the right-of-way, you can see the pinched in. There's really only a small area to put that monument sign so that we don't encroach in the right-of-way and we don't encroach in the Texas gas transmission easement, and that we still stay relevant to drivers and to identify where the subdivision itself is. This shows the curve along Holly Gibson Road, so you can get some idea of the sight lines. And Brian was talking about that sight triangle. Those are the sight triangles. So in terms of safety, we are still making sure that we're completely compliant with all the safety regulations and really the purpose of the regulation to begin with. So we think that the variance is reasonably justified, and frankly just think it makes sense, because if you tried to push it off and so it's outside of the Texas gas transmission line, it really just does not make sense at all. It's not going to give drivers any idea where the subdivision is. It would be frankly, I don't even know if you would want to put it there at all because it just would not provide any assistance at all to the subdivision. So that's basically it. Curtis, would you like to add anything? It's pretty simple and straightforward, so we'll sit back and wait for your all's questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any testimony from anybody in favor of the application? Nobody? Any testimony of anybody opposing the application? Nobody? Okay. Closed presentations from the floor and,
Well,
oh, what am I
If
missing?
he has a closing statement.
Oh, do
but
you have a closing
kinda-
statement?
I'm paid by the hour, so I'd love to,
Right.
but no, I do not. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, and then questioning.
Questions from the board? Okay. Next, questions from anybody on the board? No? No. Okay. There's no rebuttal, okay. There's final statements. Any final statements from the applicant? No. Okay, then we need a motion from somebody.
I'll make a motion on the summary application variance for the docket Oldham County 24005, variance minimum setback for subdivision entrance, Clayton Properties Group Incorporated, at the Royal Oak subdivision. Since there's no opposition to the, no one has spoken opposition, the the side that it meets all the visual setbacks for the Oldham County laws. I move to accept that we approve the variance because it does not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character or general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. The conditions of approval would be variance shall only apply in the application considered at the January 15th Oldham County Board of Adjustments meeting. The subdivision entrance identification shall comply with all established federal, state, and local ordinances and requirements of the state at the time of approval. And that ends my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, your motion is to approve both the variances, because there are two variance requests, and they're different.
I'm sorry?
Confirming that? Confirming where the motion is to approve both variants?
Yes.
Yes. And the second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion, or approval is granted. Thanks. Next.
Next item on the agenda is OC 24-006. An application has been filed for a street side yard setback variance for a proposed structure at Royal Oak Subdivision Section 2. It's Lot 107 at Gibson Way and Champion Oak Drive in Crestwood.
All right, good morning. Brian Fogel, Assistant Director of Oldham County Planning and Development, which is a little bit repetitious because I was just up here with you guys now. And what's also repetitious is we're in the same neighborhood. So I'm going to kind of jump through a lot of this and get to the specifics of the request, but can always circle back to answer any questions that you guys may have. Notification was given for today's hearing. The request before you guys is a variance request to build a house. This would propose to be located on a corner lot that would not satisfy the setback requirements on the street side. Same neighborhood, Royal Oak Subdivision, off Holly Gibson Road, southwestern portion of the county, highlighted in red. The zoning. The proposal is for the future section that would be in this area right here. The site history is pretty much the same. Anything that's related to any zone changes or preliminary plan approvals have all been done to satisfy requirements to develop the subdivision. The zoning ordinance for the R2 residential zoning district, which is what the subdivision is zoned, has setback requirements. So it's saying that the setback requirement in a front yard will be 35 feet. And in the instance where you have a corner lot, it's saying, well, your other setback that borders on the street, which is considered the street side yard setback, also has to be 35 feet. And this diagram here may help explain that a little bit better. So what this shows here is a corner lot, and the house would be facing the street right here, so that would be the front yard, and it's showing that there's a 35-foot front yard setback off of the street that the house faces. But since it's a corner lot, it has a street side yard setback right here. So the side of the house would be facing here, and it's saying basically when you're on a corner lot that you have the same street side yard setback as you do on the front. So what the applicants are proposing is in a future lot of Royal Oak subdivision, lot 107, they're asking to build the house 10 feet closer to that street side yard setback, requiring a variance of 25 feet. Here's a diagram showing lot 107, and I'm going to zoom in here. So lot 107, located right here on the corner, this would be considered the front setback because the house with the driveway and the garage and the front porch and front door would face this way. So the street side setback would be here on Gibson Way. And what they're proposing is a 25-foot side yard setback here. And they have highlighted in gray here the portion of the house that would encroach on that required 35-foot street side setback. Just a couple pictures right now because the utilities and the streets are being built. They're just going to see a lot of dirt. And in the background, you can see the already developing portions of Royal Oak subdivision right here. The applicant states in their justification statement that due to the shape of the lot, that is the reason why they're coming before you guys to ask for a variance in the street side setback. And then the summary of the request is that basically they want to place the house 10 feet closer to the street side setback than is required. I've got that backwards. So what they're proposing here is to build the house. These are swapped incorrectly. Their proposed street side setback is 25 feet, so they would require a variance of 10 feet.
Okay, can you give me a feel for Gibson Road, what kind of road that is?
Yes. It's a residential street, and perhaps the aerial will help. So this is Gibson right here for the existing portions of Royal Oak subdivision. So it's basically a residential street that's contained within Royal Oak subdivision. So the proposed variance of 10 feet with the 25-foot setback on the street side would also comply with our site triangle that would be required when you've got a street intersection there.
So it's just a residential road?
That is correct. It's just a subdivision residential road.
Okay. Good, thank you. Okay.
Likewise, with the prior application of Royal Oaks, we have not received any correspondence or telephone calls in regards to this application.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, testimony from the applicant? Guess they're
Brian.
still sworn in? Is that, okay.
Brian,
All right.
thank you again. John Talbot, Barton Warp Talbot and Roberts, 1000 North Hurstbourne Parkway, Louisville, Kentucky, 40223. Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. That's my bad. I didn't even notice it wasn't.
I was flustered over the fact that I was dyslexic in my PowerPoint and reversed the setbacks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian. Again, this is a very similar situation. This is elite, same subdivision as Brian mentioned. And one thing I wanted to point out is that this subdivision, with all of our other corner lots, we are compliant with all the regulations. This is the only corner lot in which we've had to request any type of relief from the regulations on. And again, the side yard setback for the regulation is 35 feet. And we're pinched in with conservation area zones, also with easements, and more importantly, with the right-of-way that comes down that small Gibson Road. And as you mentioned, it is a residential street, and it's a very, very minor residential street. It's probably close to whether it would have a smaller right-of-way of only 50 feet, but since it loops around it, the way the traffic is calculated, it does have the potential to push it up, and that's why it has that larger right-of-way, even it being such a minor street inside the subdivision. This shows the setback pretty far away. You can see lots 112 through 107. And again, we're trying to get all of those lots in there to make some economic use of the property. More importantly, if we have to expand the setback, we would more importantly reduce the product that would be available. We go from only 3 products that would be able to be fit on that lot as opposed to, I think, about probably 15 or 20.
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. We've got multiple floor plans.
Yes, then.
I can speak to that.
Sure, go ahead.
It all depends on, we've got multiple, Curtis
I guess
Meese,
we need to
Elite
swear you in.
Homes,
Yeah.
16218 Shelbyville Road, Louisville,
Yes.
Kentucky, 40245.
Go ahead.
Currently, if we're not allowed to encroach on the side yard setback, we will be able to build 3 floor plans. Now, with each floor plan, we have a handful of elevations. So depending on how you look at it, one floor plan can equate to 4 different, or 5 even, different types of styles of homes. If we're not approved this variance, we'll only be able to build 3. If we are, we'll be able to build 5 additional floor plans. So we're seeking this variance to build the additional 5 floor plans, plus the 3 that we can fit currently.
Curtis, thank you very much for that. And so let me zoom in a little bit. This gives you a better view of where everything is. If you look at one of the proposed floor plans with 107 directly in the middle, you can see that kind of green rectangle. That would be the area of potential building site that we would lose if we had the full 35-foot setback. As you can see on there, we've got the 35-foot right-of-way on the 35-foot right-of-way and also the 25-foot setback that we want to reduce it by 10 feet of. The 60-foot right-of-way from Gibson the Way also encroaches and pushes us further into that lot. So it's a very minor area, and as you can see, it's really not going to impact anything in terms of sight lines on Gibson Way or on the road to the north or to the top of that page. So safety will be completely complied with. These are some of the building models that would not be available if we are not granted this variance. And we think in terms of making this a quality subdivision, and you all have seen a lot of products out of Elite Homes. They build very nice subdivisions, very nice homes. And we really want to make sure that any potential buyers have a full spectrum of homes that they could choose from on this lot rather than crimping on that one lot. And there's just really no downside in terms of safety and sight lines or anything of that nature at all. So we would hope that you all will grant the variance, and thank you all very much for your all's consideration.
Okay, is there any questioning of the applicant from the board?
I have a question. This is basically for my clarification. We're changing something so that we can make room for something else. Basically, this is what this is about. In retrospect to all this changing, what effect will it have? You're saying that you can build more houses if you do this and if you do that. My thing is simply this. With these numbers and things that you all are operating with, how many other variances or how many other changes are we going to have to be dealing with, or will you be dealing with that we won't know anything about that may encroach upon other people, other areas?
Yeah, those are very good questions. First of all, just to be clear, it's more styles homes are available. This variance will not allow us to build more homes. It'll be the same number of homes. It just gives for the home for this lot, there's more options for potential buyer on that lot. And in terms of other variances, we are not asking for a variance on any other corner lot within this subdivision. This is the only one, and we're pinched in. And if this road, and I think the chair kind of recognized that the road on Gibson Way is a pretty minor road. if it dropped down just one level in terms of classification of that road, the right-of-way would only be 50 feet, and we wouldn't need the requested variance at all. And it is very much on a subtle, and in our opinion, a debatable line of whether it needed that extra 10 feet of right-of-way, but that's what you all have asked for, and so that's what we're providing. By granting the variance, there's no safety issues that arise, and anybody looking at this subdivision, I think you all can recognize that it is a very minor road.
Okay, so this will be the only house that you're asking this for?
This lot, yes, sir, that's correct. That's
And it will have
correct.
no adverse effect on all the other things that you'll be trying to do?
None at all, none at all. Yeah, Elite is very good. I mean, we represent a lot of home builders, and they, particularly when they come to Oldham County, they ask for very little relief from y'all's regulations. They're not trying to pack too much in there. It's just, they want to make sure they've got an adequate number of styles to support, and there's really no downside in terms of safety, convenience, or what the real purpose of those regulations are for. So we think it's justified and hope you all grant it.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions from board members? Okay,
I've
Go
got
ahead.
one after the board. Mr. Talbot, if this were not on a corner lot, would the house meet the setbacks in that zoning classification?
It would. Thank you for asking that question. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testimony from anybody speaking in favor of the applicant? Nobody? Testimony of anybody opposing the application? Okay. Final comments? No? Okay. Okay, close the floor then. And discussion by the board? Any comments, discussion items? Is there a motion to approve or disapprove?
Make a motion that we approve this variance because it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential characters of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning requirements. And I would feel safe if we threw in there, this variance shall only apply to the application considered at this February 15th Oldham County Board of Adjustments hearing.
That's a condition of approval that you're
Yeah,
adding.
yeah.
And there's a second proposed one about must comply with all federal, state, and local regulations.
Yeah, and then the development of Lot 107 shall comply with all established federal, state, and local ordinances and requirements at all times of approval.
Okay.
Good.
Good enough? Okay, all in,
Well, did he second?
yeah, a second.
Got it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion's approved. Thank you.
Take care.
Next one.
All right, next docket item is OC 24-007. It's an application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a proposed detached accessory dwelling unit on property located at 3107 Halls Hill Road in Crestwood.
All right, thank you, Mr. Urban. Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning and Development. So as Jim stated, this is for a conditional use permit for a detached accessory dwelling unit at 3107 Halls Hill Road in Crestwood. Sits on an R2 residentially zoned piece of property on 49.029 acres. A little bit of the site history. So early this year, January 5th, 2024, a building permit was issued for a 1,700 square foot remodel at the existing residence on this property. As of today's date, there hasn't been any scheduled inspections or completed inspections on that permit at this point, but that permit has been pulled on this property. You'll see why this is important in a second. A little bit of the case history we did post to our website at the end of January. We sent out our adjoining property owner notices on the 30th of January, and it did appear in the Oldham Era on the 8th. So here is the property in question. This right here is the existing residence on the property, and you can see the zoning there it being R2. So the applicant's requesting a conditional use permit for a detached accessory dwelling unit for a proposed 1,440 square foot single-story, single-family residential accessory dwelling unit on that 49.029 acre tract. Project's going to consist, and the plans were included in your staff packet, of a single-story slab-on-grade accessory dwelling unit that will include a living room, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, a full bath, a half bath, storage room, utility room, and a 2-vehicle attached garage. ADU, once again, has 1,440 square feet of living space. So here is the site plan of the property. I noted that existing primary dwelling right here, the ADU just to the right of it. And here's a blown up portion for you to see a little bit better. So this right here, where my arrow is pointing, is the 2-vehicle attached garage on that ADU. So the garages of these 2 dwellings are sort of in that same driveway going in. And so there's just a highlighted portion showing you where the accessory dwelling unit will be located on that property. Here are the construction plans that were included in your staff packet, showing the floor plan for the accessory dwelling, and then some elevation drawings showing what it will look like. So currently, the PVA lists this residence, this current single-family residence, as a 1.5 story with 3,700 square feet of finished living space. Also shows a 2,714 square foot full unfinished basement. So the building permit that was pulled in January of this year for the existing residence, after the additions, they're finishing out the basement, will give the home 5,974 square feet of living space, which includes 2,213 square feet in that basement that they are going to finish. Here is the building permit that was issued. And here are the plans for the additions and the alterations to the main floor, and then also the proposed basement plan. I did not include those in your staff packet, but if you all want to ask questions to the builder when he comes up, we can go back and reference these if you have questions about what's going on in the primary house. And the reason why that is important is because Section 250-040, item E of our regulation states that those detached accessory dwelling units shall not exceed 25% of the primary structure's square footage. So this primary home, after the additions and the alterations are complete, will be 5,974 square feet, which would allow 1,493 square feet of ADU space. The applicant is proposing that ADU to be 1,440 square feet, so that does comply with the regulations after the alterations are done to the primary house. And the applicant meets all of the other remaining regulations that are listed in Section 250-040. This was included in your staff packet as well, a letter from an architect just showing those square footage details after the additions and the alterations in the primary dwelling and what would be allowed with the accessory dwelling unit. And so in summary, the applicant's requesting a conditional use permit for a detached accessory dwelling unit on property located at 3107 Halls Hill Road. Conditions of approval: the conditional use permit shall only apply to the plan considered here today at this February 15th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I will make a note, if you go to the last page in your staff packet, there is an affidavit there from the owner of the property who is out of town today. And so the general contractor will actually be speaking on their behalf. I've already spoke with our attorney who is aware of this and is okay with that. So I just wanted to make that note that the gentleman that will be speaking today is not the actual owner of the property, but it will be the general contractor for the project. And with that being said, I don't have anything further unless you have questions.
I've got one. Will the rebuilding of the existing structure, will it be finished before this new one is started?
So I talked to the general contractor yesterday when he called and asked what to expect. So I told him that would probably be a question that may come up, and that if we want to put that in as a condition of approval, that that project be completed first and signed off on. He said both of them will probably conclude at the same time, but I would ask the contractor that when he comes up, those questions. And if he's willing to put that in as a condition of approval and you all agree with that, then I think he's on board with that as well.
Thanks, Ryan.
And I did receive, one person did come in the office just to ask about this project, was a adjoining property owner. I told him what they were doing, and he said, okay, I'm good with it, and walked out. That's all.
Okay. Presentation by the applicant or the representative?
Morning.
Have you sworn in? Name and address?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
My name's Jim Bowling, Jim Bowling, 1871 Woodville Way, Louisville, Kentucky, 40205.
Okay.
As far as the building goes, the ADU is for the mother-in-law that will be living on property with them. And the reason we'd like to get started on it around the same, we've already started on the project, but the reason I'd like to get started on it and get moving on it is because the mother-in-law currently lives with them now. So when they move in, they would like her to move in. And we were going to suggest that if she lives in the basement, because it's probably gonna be about a month difference in the finish times. So we were gonna have her live in the basement at the same time until we finish the cottage, the 1,440 square foot.
Okay. I'm not sure what else to ask. It's pretty straightforward. Testimony from, I think, any questions by anybody? No?
I want to clarify something. Mr. Allen, you asked, I think, is the remodel of the existing house going to be finished before the start
Yes.
of the ADU? That's what your question was. The answer is no. They want to proceed with both of them at the same time. The remodel has started.
Yes, sir.
But you want to be able, if this is granted today, to be able to go ahead and do construction. I think the key is, will there be a certificate of occupancy issued on the house on or before
on the primary house.
ADU? Right. Because your concern is that they meet the maximum
Yeah,
standard is
I
so
bet,
close. You're really questioning that simply to say, is it the cart before the horse?
Yes.
You want the horse in
As long as the
front.
primary is finished with the project.
Got it. So with that, the question I'm going to pose back to you is, you intend to get all your inspections and your certificate of occupancy on the main house either before completion of the ADU or at the same time? That the ADU will not be completed before the house?
The ADU will not be completed before the house. I'm hoping for it to be pretty close, but not right together, no. But the reason I'm going for it all at once is because the mother-in-law lives with them currently, and they would like to move her out there at the same time when they sell their residence in, I believe it's Goshen. So they all want to move in together, and in the meantime, until we finish the cottage, she was going to live in the basement.
Okay.
Or actually, I think they were going to have her in the upstairs bedroom.
So I have a question
Yes, sir.
that hopefully you can answer. To the best of your knowledge, are there any plans for the applicant to use this cottage for a short-term rental, such as an Airbnb or short-term rental type of?
Absolutely not. It's more, if anything, it would be for grandchildren and people to stay when they're out there visiting. They have a lot of visitors and people that come in town.
Okay.
But there would be no rental at all. They don't want to have anything to do with that.
Okay.
And just to corroborate his testimony, we did meet with the owner, actually, before they made the application, and that's really what we were told as well.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testimony from anybody speaking in favor of the applicant? Hearing none. Testimony from anybody opposing the applicant? Hearing none. Any closing statements from the applicant? No? Okay. Okay, closing discussion from the floor. Board discussion. Any comments, questions, discussion from the board? I'll just make a comment. So I'm familiar with this property and the area. Our farm is just down from that property, so I'm comfortable with what's going on there.
Based on the size of the property and
Yeah. I
location
mean,
of the buildings.
Nobody will ever see this from any road, so, yes. Okay, then, any other discussion? Open for a motion?
I'll move that docket number Oldham County 24007, a conditional use permit for a detached building from James Hildebrand on 3107 Halls Hill Road. Move that it be approved because the proposal is essential and desirable to the community and not conflict with the elements, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan based on one or more of the following, and that would be the character and objectives of the proposal, and the potential impacts on the community and its surroundings are appropriate. The proposed uses are compatible with the surrounding land uses. The proposal will not impair the integrity or character of the zone. There are specific restrictions implied. And the conditions of approval would be that the conditional use permit shall apply only to the plan considered at the February 15th, 24 Oldham County Board of Justice meeting, and that the primary refurnishing be finished at or before the finishing of the secondary building. And that is my motion.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's approved. Thank you. Next one?
Ryan set up. The next item is OC 24-008. An application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for a property located at 5959 South Highway 53 in Smithfield.
All right. Once again, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning. So this application's been filed for a road frontage variance at 5959 South Highway 53. Zoning district is agriculturally zoned piece of land on 94 acres. A little bit of the site history. So on January 21st, 2021, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved a road frontage variance for the creation of a 5.6 acre tract, be known as Tract 2, and is currently 5979 South Highway 53. That motion passed on a vote of 5-0. On May 28th, 2021, a minor plat, our number 21-037, was approved and created that 5.64 acre tract known as Tract 2. Here is that approved plat showing where Tract 2 was created in the rear of this property. A little bit of this case history coming before you today. We did post this to our website at the end of January, notified all the adjoining property owners on the 30th, and then our public notice, as with the last case up here in the Oldham era, on the 8th of February. So here is the property in question, South Highway 53, down here to the bottom left of your screen. And the zoning map showing that it is an agriculturally zoned piece of property. So the applicant is requesting a road frontage variance for a proposed 12-acre tract, which will be known as Tract 3. And this plat was included with your staff packets if you want to reference that way. If not, you'll see here in a second on your computer screen a diagram of that. So the required road frontage for property that's zoned agricultural, 2.5 acres or larger, is 300 feet of road frontage. Here is also included in your staff packet as well, from our zoning regulations, 300 feet required road frontage for lots that are 2.5 acres or more. So that's why they're here today. That applicant's proposing to create that new lot, which will allow his son to purchase 12 acres for a newly constructed residence on that family farm. In creating that new lot, just like the previous lot, it becomes landlocked with 0 road frontage on that public right-of-way. Thus, they are asking for a 300-foot road frontage variance for that proposed Tract 3, which is 12 acres. So once again, here is the property, South Highway 53, out here at the bottom. And then the plat that has been submitted, and Tract 3 will be located up here. So here was that existing Tract 2, and they would be creating Tract 3, 12-acre tract just in front of that. So in addition to that part of the plat, the applicant will also consolidate 6.4 acres for what will be known as Tract 4 to that existing 5.6 acre tract, Tract 2. All right, this will make more sense when you see it on the map than me talking about it. But this lot is owned by the applicant's other son and was the subject of that previously issued minor plat and that previous variance. So that will actually then allow both children to have the same amount of property. So you can see here, the existing Tract 2 will be consolidated with this portion of Tract 4. So both sons will have equal amounts of land. So that's the reason for that. So the applicant has prepared a minor plat for that and will prepare the shared maintenance agreement as they did with the previous variance and minor plat with signed and notarized letter of intent between all parties at the time of minor plat approval. And then just a couple pictures for you off of South Highway 53, looking up into the road that will go to that property. The other driveway that goes to, I believe, the applicant, the owner of the land's existing house. They can correct me if I'm wrong there, though. And then just a couple of views down 53 and look in the other direction with the property being here on the left. So in summary, they're asking for a road frontage variance. 300 feet is required in the agriculturally zoned piece of property. They have 0 road frontage, and so they're asking for that 300 feet variance. Potential conditions of approval, the variance shall apply only to the plan considered here today at this February 15th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. Second one is a minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. And the shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with that minor plat. With that, that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Any questions for staff? No? Okay, the applicant? Oh, did you tell us if there were any, received anything in support or opposition?
I've received nothing on this case.
Thank you. All right, thank you. We need to swear everybody in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Okay, and your names and addresses.
My name's Mark Osborne, 6001 South Highway 53, Smithfield.
Name's Wes Osborne. Current address is 5609 LaGrange Road, Shelbyville, Kentucky.
I'm Bob Vincent, Vincent Engineering Land Surveying, 1000 Cherrywood Place, Suite 200, LaGrange, 40031. And I'm here really just to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Tell us about your project.
Who speaks first? I guess you do. Okay, I guess I'm the applicant, so I am the one requesting the variance. I think everything's been said. My 3 sons and I, we farm together, and the farm directly to the south of that property line is the original family farm with my mom and dad, which is where my tract is. And so we just kind of want them to be all out there together, I guess.
Okay.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. So I make sure, so we're looking for a 0-foot variance or,
Well, the variance is 300 feet.
Well, yeah,
Because,
but-
so they'll have 0 feet of road frontage, but that's because they're on a access easement that comes off of 53. If you saw the pictures that Ryan showed, there's already an existing driveway, and they're going to use that driveway for access.
okay. So they won't be right on the road then, right on the 53?
So track 2, the one that was done in 2021, is my older brother's house. And there's a access easement that my house will just tie into. We're just going to share the driveway, and I'll go to the
Okay.
left and he goes to the right. And
So I just want to make sure there's not going to be a building that's like right against the road is basically what my
no, sir,
concern would be.
no.
That's
Won't be
perfect.
anything anywhere close to the road.
If you look at this survey that was provided by Mr. Vincent, this proposed survey, 53 is way far away from.
Okay, got it.
It's over 1,000. It's over 1,000 feet from the
Yeah,
highway.
yeah, all right, good.
Maybe further than that. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the board of the applicants? No? Okay. Let's see what's next here. That's, okay, then next on the agenda is testimony from people speaking in favor of the applicant. And then testimony from anyone opposing the application. Okay, any closing comments from the applicant or? No? Okay, then I'll close the floor for discussion, open up discussion from the board. No comments from the board? Okay, and I'll open up for a motion then.
Let's see, I move to approve the variance because it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
Any conditions?
Conditional approval, okay. The road footage variance shall only apply to the application considered at the February 15, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments hearing. A minor plate application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. A shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties effective and recorded within the minor plates.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. You're approved.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
The next item is OC 24-009. An application has been filed requesting a maximum square footage variance for an addition to an existing detached accessory structure, which is a garage, on a property located at 7608 Frasertown Road in Pee Wee Valley.
All right.
Staff report?
Still me. Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner, Oldham County Planning. So as Mr. Urban stated, this application's been filed requesting a maximum square footage variance for an addition to an existing detached garage on that property located at 7608 Frasertown Road in Pee Wee Valley. It is in a R2 residentially zoned piece of property. Sits on 1.4 acres of land. A little bit of the site history. On September 15th, 2016, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments did approve a conditional use permit for this property for a home occupation for a dog grooming business. That motion passed 5-0. As far as this case goes, the case history, we did post it to our website at the end of January, just like the previous two cases. Adjoining property owner notices were mailed on the 30th, and it appeared in the Oldham Era on the 8th. So here is the property in question. on Frasertown Road. This area right here is where the existing detached garage is. The zoning map showing it is in an R2 residentially zoned area. And so the applicant is requesting that maximum square footage variance to allow a proposed 40 by 50, so that's 2,000 square foot accessory structure, a pole barn addition, be added to that existing garage. That existing garage is 20 by 40, so that's 800 square feet. That's the existing one. So the applicant state in their justification statement that they plan to construct that addition for needed secure storage. Here is your property. Here is the existing 20 by 40, 800 square foot existing detached garage. Or behind that is where the proposed 40 by 50 square foot addition is proposed to go. Section 250-030, the number of accessory structures, state that those number of allowed accessory structures over 120 and a total maximum floor area shall be as follows. So on that parcel size of 1 acre to 2.99 acres, they shall have a total maximum floor area of 1,800 square feet. And here that is in our zoning regulations, and this was also included in your staff packet as well. So it goes off the size of the parcel for your accessory structures. They fall within this category here since they do sit on 1.4 acres. So they're allowed 2 accessory structures that cannot total more than 1,800 square feet. So the proposed accessory structure, the combined square footage is 2,800 square feet. So an 800 square foot existing detached garage, and then they're proposing to add 2,000 square feet. So therefore, they're requesting a 1,000 square foot maximum square footage variance. The proposed accessory structure does appear to meet the remaining standards of that particular section regarding accessory uses, as well as section 260-030 of conditional use standards for accessory structures. Just a couple pictures from the property. This is looking at the home located on Frasertown Road. Another picture looking back towards the existing detached garage. So the pole barn will be directly behind this. And then just a couple of views down Frasertown Road. So the applicant's requesting that maximum floor area variance to allow the accessory structures combined to be greater than the 1,800 square feet. They are allowed 1,800 square feet. They're asking for 2,800 square feet total. So the requested variance being 1,000 square feet. The potential conditions of approval, that conditional use permit shall only apply to the plan considered here today at this February 15th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. There shall be no commercial activity conducted out of the accessory structure, and the accessory structure shall not be occupied as living space. With that concludes my presentation. I received no feedback from, no calls, emails from anybody regarding this.
Ryan,
case.
can you go back to the mat, to this thing? It's like 3 slides back.
That one?
Oh, there we go. So I have a question about the adjoining properties at 7604, 7610 and 7612. It looks like, well, at least 7610 and 7604 are just raw land. I mean, is there anything on those properties?
I believe 7610 has a camper on it. The applicant may be able to answer this a little bit better. Our code enforcement officer actually took these photos for me the other day, so he would actually have a much better answer than what's out there than me. But I do believe there is something there, but I don't believe there's necessarily a residence, somebody living in that. I'm not.
7604, is there anything on that one, to the best of your knowledge?
It does not look like it, no.
Okay.
But once again, the applicant, I think, can answer that maybe better than me.
Good. Thank you, Ryan.
All right.
Okay. Testimony from the applicant?
Morning.
Need to have you sworn in and then name and address.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Eric Schneider, 7608 Frasertown Road, Pee Wee Valley, 40056.
Okay?
The property to the left of mine is an abandoned trailer. It's been that way for multiple years. The property next to that, which would be 12, somebody is trying to rehab that property currently. 7604 is just a vacant lot, belongs to the gentleman across the street, and 7605, him and his sister own that property, but they don't plan to do anything with it. They're in their 80s.
Okay. So, you want to just tell us about the project and what you want to do with it?
I have too many toys. I have 7 vehicles. They're all licensed. They all run. I have a couple classic cars. I have a couple boats, all that we use. We have a place at the lake. I've lived there 26, going on 27 years. I don't want to move. The work I do, I work for myself, but all my work is within about a 10-mile radius of my home. So the idea is to unclutter my yard. Like I said, with 7 vehicles, there's normally 5 of them in the driveway. Plus, there's a boat parked on the side. It just tidy up my neighborhood, tidy up my yard, and we've worked with Adam trying to get Frasertown cleaned up and doing my part.
So you're not going to be doing any work in this building?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No,
just storage.
The original garage, my wife, we came here several years ago, and we were allowed. She by herself works and grooms dogs there.
Okay.
It'll basically be a warehouse to put the cars in.
Good. Any other questions for the applicant from board members? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testimony from anybody supporting the applicant in favor of the proposal? Testimony from anybody opposing the applicant? Okay, I'll close the floor for discussion and open discussion from the board.
Discussion from
Any comments? No? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the application for Oldham County 24009, variance maximum square footage setback, or for maximum square footage from Snyder on 7608 Frasertown Road, Pee Wee Valley. I move because the variance, because it's not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, and will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity. You will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow unreasonable circumvention or requirements of the zoning regulations. The conditions of approval will be the conditional use permit shall only apply to plan considered at the February 15th, 24 Oldham County Board of Adjustments meeting. There should be no commercial activity conducted on the accessory structure, and the accessory structure shall not be occupied as living space.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Second?
Second.
Go ahead, Ryan. You have a comment?
I just want to ask a question, just because he stated in his testimony that I think her dog grooming business is in that front half of the garage, that if we put the condition of approval in there about commercial activity, if that does anything with the other conditional use permit, I just wanted to be sure.
Well, that was granted. I think it's only relevant to the addition.
Okay. All right.
But it's a good point that you're all clear that the no commercial activity is only on this addition to the accessory structure.
Maybe you
that-
clarify that in the
Should that be put in the
motion?
Should that be put in the motion then?
Should we clarify that in the motion?
That the application will only apply to the new application?
Yeah, the approval only applies to this new application, which is the addition.
The addition, okay, good. And the
And
second?
and the square footage variance.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You have approval. Thank you. Next one.
The next item is OC 24-010. An application has been filed requesting a conditional use for an owner-occupied short-term rental property located at 1205 South Buckeye Lane in Goshen.
All right, we've now reached the short-term rental portion of our meeting. So Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner, Oldham County Planning and Development. So this application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for an owner-occupied short-term rental property at 1205 South Buckeye Lane in Goshen. It is in an agricultural and conservation zoning area and sits on 17 acres of property. So on December 5th, 2023, a consolidation plat was approved to consolidate a couple of small tracts with the existing 28.274 acre tract of Tract 2. And you can just see this here. It doesn't really do much with this application today, but you can just see this was approved in the site history itself. A little bit more site history. And I'll give you a little bit of backstory. Both of these cases that'll come before you today are going to be the same here. So on January 11th, 2024, our Oldham County Code Enforcement Officer issued a notice of violation for advertising and renting a short-term rental property without a permit. So we've got a long list right now of potential people that will probably be coming before you in the near future that have had their short-term rentals advertised. And so these are a couple that'll be before you today. So the applicant on that notice of violation was directed to contact our office by February 9th, 2024 to go through that process to obtain a short-term rental property permit or license. As you all know, our regulations changed back the last of the calendar year, and so all of these owner-occupied permits now have to come before you for a conditional use. The applicant did comply with this directive. These first two today are probably the very first two to kind of contact us to get this process rolling, and so that's what we're here for today. Here's just a copy of that notice of violation that was issued to the applicant, and like I said, they contacted me well before the February 9th deadline. As far as the case history goes, once again, we posted this to the website at the end of January, sent out adjoining property owner notices for this case on the 31st of January, and it appeared in the Era on the 8th. So here is the property on South Buckeye Lane. The zoning map.
Go back to that for a second.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Shows the zoning area, pretty much half conservation, half agricultural. The actual short-term rental is over in this area, so it would be in the conservation zoning area, just so you're kind of aware of where we're at on the property. So the applicant's requesting that conditional use permit for that owner-occupied short-term rental. As we go over this almost every month, the definition states that owner-occupied short-term rental is the owner of record whose primary residence is located on the same lot or immediately adjacent lot. So the owner of this property does live on that same lot as the short-term rental on the farm, and you'll see that here in just a second. So here is that property. Here is the primary residence of the owner. The short-term rental property located back here on the farm. And then there is a barn and parking area, which you'll see some photos of here in a second, where the occupants of that short-term rental will park, come into the property. As you can see, the short-term rental property permitted uses and conditional use standards do show that in both the agricultural and conservation zoning areas, a conditional use permit is required for that owner-occupied short-term rental. If granted the conditional use permit, the owner must also comply with those operating requirements and standards that are outlined within our short-term rental property ordinance. And all of those will be done at the time of the issuance of a short-term rental property permit if you all do pass this today. The short-term rental they provided a floor plan that shows 2 bedrooms. We'll have a maximum occupancy of 8 individuals based on what it says in our definition, and that is twice the number of bedrooms plus an additional 4. So 2 bedrooms gives them 4 occupants plus an additional 4. Gives you 8 people as far as that occupancy. And here is the floor plan that was provided by the applicant. This was also included in your staff packet noting the 2 bedrooms. Short-term rental is also required to have 3 parking spaces in compliance with our regulations. And that's based off the maximum occupancy. And you'll see here in the photos in a second, there's plenty of parking for individuals. So a few pictures of the property. This is leading into the property from South Buckeye Lane. picture of the short-term rental, and then a picture of that barn area coming in that driveway looking back towards the short-term rental. So looking back this direction on the property. So in summary, the applicant's requesting a conditional use permit for the owner-occupied short-term rental property at 1205 South Buckeye Lane. The potential conditions of approval would be that the conditional use permit shall only apply to the application considered here today at this February 15th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The applicant shall comply with all regulations concerning short-term rental properties that are outlined in our zoning regulations, section 250-050. The conditional use permit shall be automatically revoked upon transfer and sale of the property, and the applicant shall apply for and be issued a short-term rental property permit before renting the property. With that, that is all I have.
Any letters of support or opposition?
Nothing.
Thank you. Okay, presentation by the applicant.
Morning.
Hello.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Name and address.
Margaret Shea, 1205 South Buckeye Lane, Goshen, Kentucky, 40026.
Thank you.
So about 8 years ago, my husband and I decided to renovate the original farmhouse on our property, which had gone into disrepair, as a source of extra income for us now and in retirement. My husband farms full-time, and that is a big draw for people coming to stay at our Airbnb. Many of them are families with small children that want to experience life on the farm. My husband shows them his turkeys, his sheep. He lets them collect eggs. And many people come from nearby urban areas, Chicago, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, to experience that. And we have really positive reviews. We have people that come again and again. I have some reviews on hand if you'd like to see them. We have consistent 5-star reviews, and we're a super host on Airbnb. And we really enjoy, sharing the farm with other people as well. Another use of the area is people rent for weddings. There are a number of new wedding venues in Oldham County, and we're a source of housing for people that come into town for those weddings. And other people just coming to relax. The house is tucked into the woods and really isn't visible from the road or from our other neighbors, but we can see it, and so we are able to keep an eye on the people that come and stay with us. So just in summary, I'd like to just say that our house allows people to come and experience the beauty of Oldham County and to see small farming up close. So I think that we add something to Oldham County and provide a benefit there. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions of the applicant by the board?
I have one. This is a small one. When you have large groups, do you have a lot of noise or anything like that? Or do you have anything planned that they can deal with noise?
Right. So they said the maximum number of people allowed is 8, but we limit it to 4,
Okay.
which we think is reasonable. We do not allow parties, and we say that explicitly.
Okay.
And as I said, we're always, there. We work on the farm, so we're there to keep an eye on things. And it's mostly families, like I said, and we've never had an issue with noise.
What is the name of the property, of the farm? Or
My husband's farm is called Field 51
Field
Produce,
51.
and he does organic vegetable production, and he does a CSA,
Okay.
so it's a community-supported agriculture. People
okay.
buy a share.
Right.
So it's formed a nice community, and the name of the house is called The Coop.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you. Testimony from anyone speaking in favor of the applicant? Testimony from anybody opposing the applicant? Okay, closing comments? Okay, close the floor for discussion. Discussion among the board? Anybody on the board? Nope. So I think it sounds like a nice project, and it looks like their adjoining properties are not going to be impacted by it at all. So, okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve the conditional use because of, I move to approve the conditional use because the proposed use is essential or desirable to the community and not in conflict with the elements, objects, or policies of the comprehensive plan based on one or more of the following factors. Granting the conditional use permit will allow the proper integration into the community of a use specifically named in the zoning regulations, the character and objectives of the proposed use of the potential impact on the community and its surroundings are appropriate. The community or neighborhood has a need for a proposed use and there are potential benefits to the community or neighborhood. The potential conditional of approval is the conditional use permit shall only apply to the application considered at the February 15, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The application shall apply with all regulations concerning short-term rentals, properties outlined in Oldham County zoning regulations, sections 250-050. Consideration use permits shall be automatically revoked upon transfer, safe or or sale of the property. The application shall apply to all the applicant shall apply for and be issued a short-term rental properties permit license before renting the property.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I might also, that last one, hopefully the staff explained to you, you need to go every year for a application. Yeah, okay, good. All right, thank you.
I don't know how I did that.
Last item on the agenda is OC 24-011. An application has been filed requesting a conditional use for an owner-occupied short-term rental property located at 2177 Belknap Farm Road in Goshen.
All right. This one's going to look pretty similar to the last one. Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner, Oldham County Planning. So this application's been filed once again requesting a conditional use permit for an owner-occupied short-term rental, this one at 2177 Belknap Farm Road in Goshen. Zoning is R2 residential on 64 acres of land. Site history on January 11th, 2024, once again, the Oldham County Code Enforcement Officer reached out to the owner on record, and that applicant was directed to contact our office by February 9th. There was, throw it out there for the record, is there was a little bit of discrepancy on who still the owner was listed on this property, and so I believe the notice of violation went to a different person. The applicant can touch on that a little bit because they have been over to the PVA to get all that straightened out. But needless to say, the applicant contacted our office and immediately started working on getting the paperwork together to come before you today, just like the last applicant. Once again, a copy of that notice of violation showing where our code enforcement officer did direct them to contact our office, which they did. Same case history as the last case as well. We posted it to our website at the end of January. Joining property owner notices were mailed out on the 31st of January, and the public notice appeared in the ERA on the 8th of February. And here's the property in question. It's directly off US Highway 42. And showing the zoning for the property. So the short-term rental property is located right in this general area, which you'll see in a second. The applicant's requesting that conditional use permit for that owner-occupied short-term rental, and as with the last one.
Can you go back there? I'm sorry. Yeah. So looks like there's a subdivision across the street from that. Is that right?
Right here?
Yeah. What is that?
That's City of Goshen.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you.
So as with the last one, our definitions state that the short-term rental will be located on the same lot. or immediately adjacent lot, and this one is the owner's property. Here is the site plan showing 2177 Belknap Farm Road, where the short-term rental is located. Also showing in an R2 residentially zoned area, an owner-occupied short-term rental does require a conditional use permit. If granted that CUP, the owner must also comply with all those requirements and standards that are located within our regulations. The short-term rental does have 3 bedrooms and will thus, based on our calculations, have a total occupancy of 10 individuals. Based off 3 bedrooms gives them 6 individuals plus an additional 4, gives them 10. However, the applicant, just kind of like the last case, did state that their maximum occupancy will be no greater than 7 individuals based on their rental standards. So here is the floor plan as well, showing the 3 bedrooms located in the house. Short-term rental is also required to have 4 parking spaces in compliance based off that maximum occupancy of 10 individuals. And then a couple pictures of the house provided by the applicant. Have a lot of driveway space for individuals to park around the house and in the front. So in summary, the applicant's requesting that conditional use permit for an owner-occupied short-term rental property. And as with most of these cases for the short-term rentals, those conditions of approval remain the same, that it shall only apply to the meeting here today, February 15th, 2024. Applicant shall comply with all those regulations outlined in our Oldham County zoning regulations section regarding rental properties, short-term rental properties. The conditional use permit shall be automatically revoked upon transfer, sale of the property, and the applicant shall apply for and be issued a short-term rental property permit before renting the property. That is all I have. Received nothing on this case as well before you ask.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions, Ryan? Okay. The applicant, testimony or presentation by the applicant? Swear you in and your name and address.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Name and address.
2481 Belknap Farm Road,
Okay, thank you.
and my name is Ian Belknap. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ryan, for helping me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for everybody listening to us today. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. I wrote a few notes down. All of this really matters to me a whole lot, so I apologize if it's a little lengthy. First things first, the farm really depends on the income from this short-term rental up front. We've been doing it for 45 years. We're sorry we broke the law. We'd had no idea. But this house makes over $16,000, $17,000 a year with my wedding guests that come to that house, to the coop. We'd get it with Verbo and Airbnb. So we really depend, guys, on this. You know, as we all know, farming's a losing enterprise here. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. But first and foremost is we really need this income. Second thing I want to talk about is the cost of living, inflation here in Oldham County. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but a gallon of RM43 has gone from $55 to $120 at Tractor Supply. Things are getting really expensive for us farmers, as a lot of us probably know. And again, it's back to my first point in tangent that we really need this income. We've never been a problem. Cops have never been called there like her. We limit our guests. 7's even high, usually 6. Sometimes if there's a young baby, you know, then there's 7, but we really watch that. It's at the front of the farm. I live on the farm, of course, less than a mile away. So I keep a good eye on it, and I know our reputation matters in this community, and I value that. Again, what she just touched on, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Nights spent in Oldham County means dollars spent in Oldham County, you know? And so a lot of our people we've noticed go to Harmony Landing Golf Course, play in a lot of tournaments. There are special needs tournaments. We get special needs people. A lot of our brides stay at our place for the rehearsal dinner, and then go to Barn 8. And so money spent in the county when people stay in the county. And I just wanted to say this, I didn't even tell my wife this till this week, because it's pretty darn embarrassing. The farm's never been profitable, all right? And I closed the venue quite a bit with that event center, but we're still not there. We're still losing money. And that sucks, And this little ordeal has cost me at least $3,000. My underwriter, Great American, has dropped me because they don't like the description in the Airbnb that people can walk around the farm and fish. That scares them. So I've been dropped by my insurance provider. I had to get new insurance, which I brought documentation for Ryan today. Sorry about that for not bringing it earlier. And so just think about this. I don't know if you guys make the rules for Oldham County, but this stuff maybe shouldn't be applied to everybody equally like a stop sign, but maybe like taxes and pragmatically and individually. Because, if I didn't get my crop check from Jamie Fackler, I would have had a hard time coming up with all this money, And so a lot of these rules, and there's good rules, I read them all, but all of the HOA stuff and the farm, that doesn't apply to us farmers. And we're really trying to make it out there and stay a family farm. It keeps me up at night. It makes me it worries me, guys. It worries me. I'm going to cut all that out. Forget it. Thank you for your time. I
Ian,
appreciate it.
just for clarification, some of these board members may not remember or weren't here. You have an event venue on your property that came through the Board of Adjustments.
Thanks to your generosity as well. Yes, sir. We have an event, the DBA is Land of Goshen Farm Event Center, government names, Belknap Banquet Barn, whatever you call it. We applied and got that, I believe, 2018, 19. We opened.
Probably. Yeah.
I opened in COVID, so that was a fun year. But yeah, thank you for that.
So this short-term rental will benefit the event venue that people going and staying, using that facility?
Yes, sir. 100%, Mr. Urban, 110%. It's a huge draw to have property for the bridal part for the parents. There's always somebody that would like to rent it.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? I have a question, but I need you to, Ryan, maybe bring the map back up of the property. Ian, if you could stay here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you walk me through the property again? I'm not, if you're able to point, there, good, you got that. Point, where is, oops.
Shit.
He switched.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
It's all right.
I won't touch anything.
Point, there we go. Point, where is the rental, short-term
Okay,
rental?
Chief. So
If you
kind of
now use the mouse.
You can use the mouse.
But don't touch the rest of the screen.
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
sir.
You
Okay.
got it.
Sorry,
Yep.
right there,
Okay.
across from the pond. Okay?
That's, okay.
Coming onto Main Belknap Farm Road that heads to 42 on our two front entrances.
So that pond, do you own that property too?
No, sir, that's Jim Joy. That's who got the letter on 1/1 or whatever when, and it's not the code enforcer or what.
Oh, I see.
Code
Okay.
enforcer's a great dude. Jim's a great dude. Ryan's a really great dude. PVA had it wrong.
Right. So the event space, where is that?
I don't want to touch it, Chief. I already messed it up, but it's farther back on there. It's about a mile back from US 42.
So
You take a left.
It's off the map?
Yeah, you can kind of, okay.
Well, you won't
Right-
be able to scroll it,
You
but
see
It's
Ryan
it's
there?
way over there?
About a quarter mile, half mile down that gravel road.
Okay.
Then you get to my venue right there.
Got it.
That the old barn
All
road
right.
takes you to the venue.
What is that white building there then, kind of in the center?
What do we got here, Chief? Which number?
Yeah, right by,
right in the,
right in the middle.
At the fork right there?
just
No.
above where it says Belknap
Above
Farm
Belknap,
Road, you
there's
can
a
see
white-
the white.
Is that your house, maybe?
The barn right across from Belknap Farm Road? This thing
No,
right here?
above that.
Above it.
Above it.
This right
That
here?
one, yes.
That's Tom's old tobacco barn, right there.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he rents the front of the farm. Hell, I say he owns it because he's like family. But
Okay.
he's going to be there till the end of days, and that's his tractor, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Equipment building. And then what do you grow on the farm, or what is Is it like hay or what is?
I could sit up here all day,
Yeah.
and talk about, Tom's growing everything. I've started an eight different species Christmas tree nursery.
Okay.
I've got 300 fruit trees. I've been pruning all week, that's why I messed up, but we're farmers. We like to grow
Yep.
stuff.
I have a question.
Oh, we moved. I wanted you to go back to, Ryan, can you bring the map back? I just want, so where is that's good, you've got it. Trying to get a feel. So the Goshen City is across the street. Where is like the Goshen store? I'm just trying to figure out.
Well, I used to go up there as a kid all the time on my bikes, me and Ben. So I would come from my house and come right up here and cut through Tom's nursery, and there's the Goshen store.
There's the Goshen
right there.
store. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Now I know where we're at. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it, right, yep.
Yep. I know exactly where we're at now. Okay. Now I've got a really good feel for it. Okay.
I've got
Thank
a
you.
question.
Go ahead.
Where's your house at? Oh, here.
The main house.
I would love to show you, Charles, but I messed up your computer the
Okay,
first
don't
time.
worry.
If
Okay,
you want to
don't
bring
worry about
Ryan back up, I would.
The only
Well,
question.
it won't actually come up on this because this is a
Yeah, okay.
image, so.
Okay, all right.
So
okay.
if you took a left, Charles, at that fork right there where I'm pointing at, it wraps around a field with a pond in it and goes to my house.
Okay.
So I've clocked it, sir. I'm about a mile exactly from the front sign to my house. So I'd say I'm about 0.8, 0.75 from the rental house.
But it is on this property. I think that's the key.
110%.
Yes,
Will be
okay,
there forever.
Okay.
This rental house next to the main house, what I call the main house, I know where the main house is, and there's 2 or 3 little support buildings next to the main house. Is one of these rental properties one of those?
Mr. Combs, when you say the main house, you're talking about my house?
It's not, that house
It's
you're
not-
talking about
no,
is
no,
not
We
on the
sold that to
subject
not
property.
Mr. Joy.
It's not on the subject property.
That's how the
On other
PV
part of the
got.
farm?
Yeah,
Not
but his
anymore,
house
sadly.
is on the subject property.
Well, probably.
Yeah, that's,
Well, the rental house is on the subject property too.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's a big farm, so that's.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big farm.
Well, I can understand your challenges on
Thank you, brother.
farming.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Testimony from anyone speaking in favor of the applicant? Come forward. Have you sworn in, then your name and address?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thomas Bachman, 3970,
Thomas, move forward just a little. There you go.
3970 Highway 53.
Okay.
And I've been on this map here for 43 years, you know, right next to the house that I want to do the B&B. But it's more like a traditional B&B, you know, sitting right in the middle of a farm where people from up north come down a lot to stay with their younger children and that, just for a good Oldham County farm experience, you know. So I'm 100% for it.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other testimony in favor of the application? Any testimony opposed to the application? Okay, I'll close the floor for discussion, open up discussion for the board. Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve the conditional use because the proposed use is essential and desirable to the community and not in conflict with the elements, objects, and parcels of the comprehensive plan based on one or more of the following factors. Granting the conditional use permit will allow the proper integration into the community of the use specifically named by the zoning regulations, the character and objectives of the proposed use, and the potential impact on the community and its surroundings are appropriate. The community and/or neighborhood has been for the community or neighborhood has a need for the proposed use and there are potential benefits to the community and neighborhood. Potential conditional approvals is the conditional use permit shall only apply to the applications considered at the February 15, 2024 Oldham County Board of Objections public hearing. The application shall comply with all regulations concerning short-term rental properties outlined in Oldham County zoning regulations, sections 250-050. Conditional use permits shall be automatically revoked upon transfer, sale of the property. The application shall apply for and be issued a short-term rental properties permit license before renting the properties.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. You're approved. I'm not sure. So Ian, I just have a question. You mentioned you spent $3,000 in this process. Is that just with the application process?
No, sir. That was $650 for the application process. My insurance,
If you're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
do this, I mean,
Okay, we'll do that later. Yeah, case is closed. Okay.
Yeah, he's
All
good.
right, I
He's
just,
sitting way back there.
I just,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine. Okay.
government was $650.
All right, good, thank you. Okay. No other, okay, so, minutes. So we need to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries to approve the minutes.
So next month, the meeting is on March 21st, and we do already have applications in. Filing deadline is the 21st of this month, so we still have a few more days, but there's already cases, so plan to be here. Thank you.
Ryan, so the process, you mentioned that there's other violations of the short-term rental owner occupied. So it sounds like you sent out notices. Like, how many did you send out?
Well, he did half and half for me so that I wasn't all bombarded at once. So he sent a first half out in January. We've got one, I think, in for next month already. And there's been people that have contacted us already, and some we still have to talk about. So.
Most of these were people who were either advertising or already renting that didn't know that there were regulations about short-term rentals. And so I thank Ian for coming in and
Yeah.
But how many in total are there?
dozen.
There was probably, 18. Some of them have multiple ones.
I see.
So yeah.
Okay.
Some of them actually have just taken down their
Yeah.
advertising because they really aren't doing it. And
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, so it's not like hundreds, it's just, okay.
No.
Good, thank you. Okay, so the process is they come in, they do an application, then you bring it to us if they
Yeah.
want.
make it right.
Bring it forward and make it right. Got it. Okay, thank you. I don't have anything else to talk about. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.